Alright, I'm back with the video I promised. Deep Purple albums, non-Richie Blackmore. Worst to best. Before I get into it, check out this hat. New York Mets hat. It is not the New Era fitted. No, it is the Walmart version. And my real one was getting kind of skanky. And I saw this, I was like, for a Walmart hat? Look at that. Look at it. The logo's looking pretty sweet. The Yankees one that they had looked like crap. That looked total bootleg. I'll go with this one. I don't care if I sweat in this one, get it ruined. I don't care. Because I'll buy another one. It's only 20 bucks. But let's get into this stuff. I didn't write notes down because if I did, I might talk for 2 hours on this stuff. So I just took all my CDs from the house. Been thinking about it all week since the last video, since the new album came out, Equals One, or what I like to call it, emoji. So I just took the CDs. I was like, all right, quick run through it like that. Off the top of my head, there's 10 non-Blackmore albums. Like I said in the last video, I always think of Deep Purple as like Van Halen. You got Van Halen with Roth, and then you got Van Hagar. So you think of Deep Purple with Blackmore, not Blackmore. Because a lot of people won't give the non-Blackmore albums a chance. Some of you guys don't give some of the Blackmore albums a chance anyway. Listen to Battle Rages On. Listen to Slaves and Masters. You'll be happy. Believe me. But Deep Purple definitely, without Blackmore, changed their sound with Steve Morse. And then you got Tommy Bolin. He did one album. We're going to count that one too. And the new guy, Simon Mcbride. So it's kind of... Blackmore was full of like... all his like solos were like spitting vinegar and venom and piss and vinegar with venom in it. So let's get into it. I'm gonna go with the bottom of the list. I'm gonna say the bottom of all Deep Purple albums was Live in Concerto, the Symphony. What was that one called? Deep Purple in Concerto, Group and Orchestra. I thought that was original material, even though it was a live album. I'm counting that because it was original material. That's the worst album, and it had Blackmore on it. I just thought that thing was boring. Cool idea, but it was boring. But the second worst one, and it's not even that bad of an album. I'm going with Rapture of the Deep is number 10 of the non-Blackmore albums. The best song on the album isn't on the regular album. I remember I was listening. I got like the Million Live albums by Deep Purple. I have it was Live in Montreux, 06, and the song Things I Never Said. I was like, oh, because I hadn't listened to Rapture of the Deep in forever. It's not on here. It's like, oh, that's why I didn't like this album that much. Rapture of the Deep's the best song on there. Rest of it's pretty kind of forgettable. The Things I Never Said you only got on like some bonus track on a special edition. So why were they even playing it live? Why didn't they just throw it on there? They could have took any one of these songs, made that as a bonus track. Probably would have been a whole lot happier. But the album's just kind of like low-key and kind of, it was a disappointing follow-up to Bananas, which I really like, and we will get into later. Possibly much later. So we're at number 9. I was disappointed by this album since I first got it, Abandoned. And strangely, it's a lot heavier than its Perpendicular. The second album was Steve Morse, and after this, I was like, I don't even feel like being a completist. I was like, I've only was listening to Deep Purple since the early 90s, getting into them. I didn't have all their albums yet. I got this one. I was like, I already had Deepest Purple, I had the greatest hits, I had all the key albums, stuff like that. And I was like, after this, I kind of wasn't buying everything after that, because this one really disappointed me. And I think it was on the second song, Ian Pace actually kind of misses the tempo, I thought. Like, there's a slowdown in it. And I'll look that up. I'll put like the time signature right there for you to look it up. But I thought it was a mistake. You look for that too. It's also got another version of Bloodsucker on here. They redid that. Jack Ruby song, that was our Watching the Sky. They played that a lot live. Any Fool Know That. I mean, it's not a bad song. It's decent. It's just, I keep trying to get into this album and it doesn't happen. I throw it on maybe not once a year, but maybe every other year. I just can't get into it. It's okay. It's just nothing great. It doesn't blow me away. So we're on to number 7. You would have thought this was going to be last. If I played this in a long car ride with people, say, oh yeah, throw on Deep Purple, and I threw this on, people are going, what the hell is this? Because it's a weird one. It's them purposely being weird, because it was made during the pandemic, Turning to Crime covers album, but the covers make them sound like a wedding band, or like someone who plays like your local state fair or something like that. Song selections, like song Dixie Chicken. I freaking like this album because it's so weird, and you can just tell it's them having fun. You know when you really like a band, when you just like them. He's like, oh, there's Ian doing this. I know this is like all his. He probably picked all the songs himself. This is like his. If you listen to any of his like solo stuff, it's always like classic rock, like 50s style rock and early 60s. Even did an album with like his high school band, the Javelins. He got them back together when they're all in like their 60s, and he did stuff like this. So I thought it was interesting. I liked the song they did, the Battle of New Orleans. Thought that was cool. They even did Cream's White Room. It's all right, but I like the weirder. Like you would figure they would do Cream, but and Jenny Take a Ride, that was cool. I think Watching the River Flow is my favorite one on there. Rockin' Pneumonia, the Boogie Woogie Flu. It's. You would think that was kind of embarrassing sounding, because these guys are like 75 at the time doing like. But no, I love it because it's them and it's cool. And I burp because I'm drinking soda at the time. I think the car across this parking lot staring at me doing this, but I don't give a crap. All right, where are we at? Oh, we're up to the Bob Ezrin albums. He produced this one too. That's kind of my one complaint with the last 10 years they've been working with Bob Ezrin. The guy who produced like everything big. The Wall, Kiss Destroyer, all the Alice Cooper stuff. I forgot what else. A bunch of. You look it up. You know who he is. You wouldn't be listening to this if you didn't know who Bob Ezrin was. I think all the like he's a good producer on this. I think he raised Deep Purple's game a little bit, but the fact that all the albums came out like within like 3 years of apart, they all kind of sound sort of the same production-wise, and it's kind of, after a while, it kind of gets into a rut. But I'm also having a hard time deciding the order of these to go. There's another car pulled up next to me. Who cares? We're working on this. So I'm gonna go. Going Now What? I like this one. This is good. Hell to Pay is a great song. Vincent Price is a good song. People like when this one came out, it was Purple's back. Purple's back. Every time Deep Purple puts a new album out in like the last 10, 15, probably since all the way back Bananas 20 years ago, Purple's back. I was like, would you stop listening? Every one of these new albums is good. And I think all the Bob Ezrin ones are almost equal. But this one's really good. I don't know. Skip ahead a little bit, because I got more to say. Because the next 3 is like a hard toss-up. I'm going with the newest one. Going equal 1. Probably because I think the other 2... I mean, this is like, he's got fresh blood, but production kind of still sounds the same. It's not much of like a tour into like new directions. I'm kind of going a little bit simpler, letting the new guy play, jamming out, see if we can write some songs together, and they did. Him and Don Airey worked well together, because I think Simon Mcbride worked in like Don Airey's like solo projects. He worked with Ian Gillan's solo projects. I think he played Ian Gillan's solo band, and they used to do Anya in the live set. That's why Deep Purple's been playing it again live again. Great, because Battle Rages On. Go back and listen to that damn album. It was awesome. It's a simpler album than the rest, because When Don Airey joined the band, I think he brought in more of like the theatrics, the Mr. Crowley-ness to the band, other than just rocking out with the organ. Even though John Lord would do that, he would braise the game and do his classical bits in all of his pieces. Don Airey really takes it up that way. That's why I'm going Infinite next. I don't know, that and the thing with Infinite is like I always forget what's on there because I don't play it all the time because Deep Purple's got 23 albums. There's always at least 3 or 4 Deep Purple albums on my phone at all times. My phone doesn't have that much space. I would probably put them all, but I don't. Time for Bedlam, I love that. Hip Boots is a good song. But I kind of forget this until I put it back on again. And when I put it back on, I was like, oh man, this album's freaking awesome. So, yeah, that's where we're at with that one. Then, I'm going to think this is probably, well, no, it's not the peak. But it's like, the newest one was good. The one right before it, before Turning to Crime, this one was really, really damn good. This was them, I think, breaking new ground almost. With all like the Don Airey, the more he's in the band, the more he becomes like the main musical focus, I think. I can't tell, but also looking back, like they're still writing Deep Purple-y sounding riffs. So how much did Roger Glover actually write as opposed to Ritchie Blackmore? I know Roger Glover did Speed King. He wrote that riff. But you always look at the writing credits. Most of the writing credits for Deep Purple is always like Blackmore, Glover, Gillan, and then sometimes it's Pace and Lord or whoever else. Roger Glover was always producing in the 80s, but I'm thinking, how do they still retain that sound? But then also Don Airey's kicking it up a whole notch. You can tell with his stuff, because the back and forth between him and Steve Morse are getting crazier and crazier, and this album just was awesome. So, oh, Deep Purple's back with this. Oh, you didn't listen to this one. This came out a few years ago. So where are we at now? We're down to the top 3. This one could be argued as the best, but I'm going to put it at number 3. I'm going Come Taste the Band. Great album, awful tour. Watch any documentary about it. This is like when Deep Purple imploded and Tommy Bolin comes in the band. The album sounds nothing like Deep Purple, but it kicks some ass. John Lord's basically kicked back into the background, but Tommy Bolin and Glenn Hughes and Coverdale, that's their album. And kind of like, well, Ian Pace is still kicking ass on drums, but John Lord kind of becomes like a background player almost. But it doesn't matter because the album's still cool. But live, Tommy Bolin probably learned them as much as I do in like a jam session. It's like, yeah, I know like the riff to Highway Star. I can't play the solo. Neither can he, and he just kind of like screws around. Best bad live album ever is Last Concert in Japan, and then I got like the full 2-disc remastered full concert version this time around. You got to check that out. It's a band imploding. Glenn Hughes is coked out of his mind. Tommy Bolin, he famously had like an incident with shooting up heroin, and his arm was paralyzed for like a couple of days. He could barely play. It's awesome. You want to hear what a band actually sounds like, not like that, you know, they're untouchable gods. It's like, I think I can play better than that with like, give me like an afternoon. It's that kind of, it's fascinating from like a music nerd perspective. There's so much to analyze on that. Check that out. But the album itself, like Coming Home, kicks ass song. Drifter, I love that song. Dealer's my favorite one on the album. So what's the final two? We're going, the most underrated one I'm thinking is Bananas. When this came out, people gave it crap for the silly cover and the weird name, but like every album they had after that had like a silly album cover and a silly name. So take that, Whoosh, come on, equals, it's a little picture of an emoji, equals 1. And they didn't even bother to even have an album cover on it. There's just a little drawing. Even the inside cover looks better. They got like cool pictures of like, looks like planets or something done with like pen and ink. But House of Pain, that's a great song. Haunted, probably, I think, Ian Gillan's best ballad. Silver Tongue kicks ass. I went and saw this tour. They also played Machine Head from beginning to end on that tour. I was like, cool, but kind of want to hear like maybe 2 more songs off of this album. This was awesome. So that leaves us where? Number 1, yeah, the non-Blackmore albums is where it all began. Basically, with the newer version of Deeper, Perpendicular. That's where Deep Purple basically started getting out of like the framework of doing like Blackmore type stuff. Like every song wasn't, you know, they weren't like just, they're adding like acoustic stuff in there, even though Blackmore, like after Deep Purple, is like straight up all acoustic. He barely ever played it in Deep Purple. Adding that to the sound, slower songs, more ballads. But I think the best songs off this, which this is another complaint of like Steve Morse era. If you like Steve Morse, if you go see him on tour, you're only getting like the current couple of songs from the current albums, and if you're lucky, 1 song from like a previous album. But Ted the Mechanic stuck around for a while in the set, and I love that song. Cascades, I'm Not Your Lover. Criminally underrated song, kicks ass. It's kind of like a Highway Star fast song with back and forth solos and stuff. I don't think it survived past this tour. Somebody Stole My Guitar, that's a great song. Rose's Cantina, I love. Aviator, I think that they played that, I think they played that like the Abandoned tour. Late 90s, they kind of were more committed to like the Steve Morse albums. But I don't think you're never going to hear Ted the Mechanic ever again live. If I ever won Powerball though, I would, and I got like $1 billion, I'm asking Deep Purple to play King of Dreams off Slaves and Masters. I want to hear Ian Gillan sing that just once in my life. That would rule. He would never sing any of the songs that weren't his, that weren't from like you know, he'll sing Hush. That was because it came before him. He won't sing any of the stuff where he was replaced by when he was in and out of the band. But that's my list. There's 10 of the albums there. What do you think? Did you even bother to listen to them? I did. I listened to all of them. And I got probably 10 live albums without Blackmore. Maybe 12. I don't know. I got to go recount. Go watch that video. I did a video on all my huge collection of Deep Purple live albums. Great I didn't take notes because this video would have been even longer. We're already over 17 minutes. Like, share, subscribe, all that stuff. Most of my channel's a lot of toy videos. We're going to get back to that soon, but I think I'm going to do more rock videos because I like doing the stuff in the car while I'm just driving around. Thank you for watching.